Welcome to the Content Creation Essentials. In this very first lesson, I want us all to get familiar with the editing software that I'll be using to teach you content creation. Now, throughout these modules, I'll be using Adobe CC. This is the industry standard and is what I recommend for all of you to use. However, a lot of the principles I'll be teaching can be applied to multiple editing softwares, such as Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and CapCut. Let's hop over to my screen and let's familiarize ourselves with the user interface. The very first thing I'm going to do is load up Premiere Pro. The first thing you'll be greeted by is a mini learning center. You can go ahead and watch some of these resources. However, I do find that a lot of the Adobe tutorials tend to be quite laborious, so I'm just going to quickly click off that. And this is the main interface. So what we want to do is create a new project, which you can find over here in the left hand corner of the screen. You can also click in the middle where it says create new project. There's some options in the bottom left hand corner if you're working with Teams, but we won't explore that yet. And as I previously mentioned, there's also the learning hub for Adobe. But yeah, let's go ahead and create a new project. So I'm just going to click new project on the left hand screen. Now that you're on this interface, the very first thing you want to do is go ahead and name your project. So I'm going to be calling this CC Essentials. On the left hand side, you can see your local files. So if I was to just click download, I've got two Andrew Tate files, and if I was to hover over them, I can scrub through and see these files. On the right hand side, you'll also see import settings. You can copy media, new bin, create new sequence. I'm going to just quickly click off new sequence. We'll do that once we're in our user interface of our project. Next to the project name, you'll also have the project location, and you just want to go ahead and choose your location where you plan to save your project. So for me, I'm going to save this in the downloads in a folder I've created specifically for this course, CC Essentials. Hit choose, and there we go. I've got my project name and my project location. What I want to do is show you one method of importing your assets. So if I was to click both of these and hit new bin on the right hand side, and I'll actually name the bin Tate Assets, I can now go over to the bottom right hand corner of the screen and click create new project. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed by this user interface. We will get familiar with this workspace and how you can utilize each individual panel. Now, depending on what version or what editing software you may be using, the interface may be slightly different, and it could also be different at the time of you watching this depending on what updates come out. However, as a general rule of thumb, Adobe Premiere Pro has never really shifted away from this panel structure. So I'm just going to close this learning panel down by hitting the burger bar and hitting close panel, and this will be your core workspace area. Now, as you can see, there's already a file, or the correct terminology for this is a bin, and if I was to double click in that, I've got the two videos that I selected at the start when creating this project. Now, you may not necessarily want to do that, because if you've got a project that's full of videos, audios, music, and you import them all under one bin, it may not necessarily be organized in the way that you want to edit your project. In the top left hand corner, we have the import, edit, and export workspaces. However, we don't need to worry about that just yet. Edit will be the main workspace that we will be playing around in. You don't always need to go back into the import screen to bring a file into Premiere Pro. Over in the edit tab, within this bottom left hand corner, we can see our project. So it says there project CC Essentials. If I just click that tab, what I can do is double click in this space, which I'm going to do now, and this will open my Finder or my documents, and then from there I can go back into downloads and I can choose the two files that I want imported in, hit import, and there you have them. Both the files have been imported. So this is generally the way I import files, and then from there within Premiere Pro, I will organize my files how I want them. It's also worth noting you can toggle between a list view at the bottom right hand corner or a icon view depending on your preference. So there you have it, a really quick and easy lesson. I just wanted you to get familiar with the user interface of your editing software, and in the next lesson we'll start looking at orientation.